Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maude. This is the channel where we talk about fragrances and art. So today is a requested video because as you know, this channel is about scent and it's also about art. So I've taken you to art museum. I have shown you and talk and discuss many of the arts that are in my collection. They're mostly Haitian arts and also other arts from Africa and some other places in the Caribbean, and also some American art. But in any case, over the last 2 years, I have taken a lot of opportunities to share this artwork with you and try to help you understand the artists and the inspiration behind the art. So today I wanted to essentially do an art living. I have a video on art living, but it's in French just because I suspect that a lot of the people who are interested in the art perhaps are Haitian. But in any case, I did want to do a tour of a couple of spaces for you guys to see how those different arts that I've been showing you over the last 2 years or so come together, and sort of some of the ideas behind the design and creating an art space. So welcome to my channel. I'm glad you are here, and I'm just going to show you as much as I can. I mean, I'm not an interior designer, but I love art. I love artists. I go to a lot of art museums and art galleries, and clearly I've done a lot in terms of supporting the art world. And I love to get to know the artists, and I love to just live and experience the art. And I've found that to be very good for my kids in terms of helping them understanding their roots, their culture, and you name it. Art is important for us to live in. So whether you're an art collector or you just go to TJ Maxx and you see an art piece, it's still fine. If you are into creating a space where you want to live with art, I just want to share some of these elements with you, and perhaps some of the concepts, some of the approach you can relate to and incorporate in your own space. So that's the idea of this sort of deconstructing an artful living. So it's probably going to be really, since I'm from Haiti, so it's going to be sort of Caribbean inspired and sort of French Caribbean inspired. So I'm sort of attracted to this type of aesthetic. But Haitian arts really are everywhere. You can have any form of home. I've gone to friends with Victorian homes who are Haitian art collectors, and the art just works beautifully there. So a lot of the art by masters artists, of course, but Haiti is just such a place that is so full of art that even on the street you just find some nice art pieces. So and there are a couple that I've gotten on the streets too, to support the artists, if anything. And but most of the ones I'm showing you in this particular space are not street art. They are from masters, Haitian masters, that I have over the years tried to explain to you, and just for you to get to understand this sort of world, this Caribbean art world. So thanks for joining me again. And so there you go. I'm just going to share this space with you. Hope you enjoy it. So today I am burning this most spectacular candle, and it's clearly showing a Jean-Michel Basquiat painting, and it's from La Ligne Blanche, and it just smells so good, so spicy. So I like to use really candles that are artwork in themselves as well. So this is what I have right at the entrance as a little motif. I always have something like that to put keys and everything. So I would put the keys there and so forth. But since we have people today over, I didn't put keys, so I put the candle, like very nice, soft, spicy candles that works really well for winter. So that's what I'm burning here. So that's the idea for an entrance, basically, that to have this mask. So now I would like to invite you to a space that I wanted to describe to you, and hopefully you get some ideas of what's going on when you are into art or you are into cultural sort of products and you want to incorporate those different elements in your living space, you know, from travel and so forth. You know, it doesn't mean like everyone has to have so much art, but it does. The idea is to give you some idea of how to incorporate certain element. So just right at the door, I have a path. So instead of using a traditional sort of umbrella thing, I just have this one and it can hold umbrella. So I have it there for that. But sometimes I use it and put branches and flowers and so forth, depending on the season. And I love blue so much because blue always tend to put things together. And if you notice, I have this blue right here, so it brings your eyes to this other blue that's all the way there, and then the blue that is all the way in the other room. So the idea is, even if you don't have an open space, and we didn't want an open space because obviously we wanted to define the artwork in a relatively coherent way. So not necessarily having a fully open concept works, but still there should be harmonies from one room to the next. So the way that harmony is being created here is with the continuations of the flowers from one room to the next. So your eyes is bringing you to those consistent elements. If you look very far, you see a gray sculpture, and right there at the entrance vignette, you also have, which I'm going to go into a little bit more detailed about, you also have this Mexican sculpture right here. And oh, you can also see reflected another sculpture I have that you have. So the idea then is, if you can see the concept, is to have colors that actually coordinate in terms of the main sort of theme. And you want to bring element, whether it's your flowers or your sculpture, that sort of correspond with each other. And of course, you always want books all over, which I will describe. And you also always like, you know, want to have a nice sort of lamp that sort of float in the air to create depth and dimension to the space for the eyes. So you know, so I had this thing that's not working here, so we like, okay, we just I covered it just because there's different ways of putting art. It doesn't have to be you can use it to hide something. So this is a typical Haitian art with the incredible colors and sort of small home on countryside and some scenery, you know, involving water from the island of Haiti. So at your entrance, you always want, for all intensive purpose, a vignette that has a side table. And you also want a mirror because it's easy for you to use as you come in and out. And in this case also, it also serves to reflect on the room and make a room appear bigger, because other elements are reflecting on it. So here is an example of an entrance vignette. So you have the mirror, like I said, and then you also have to have some lamp. Here I'm using the lamp for, not only because it's nice to have a lamp for ambience, because sometimes I just don't have all the lights on. So you always want to have a lamp. So if you turn off the lights, there's a lot more lights, but if you turn off the lights, you can see, you can get a little bit the ambience if it's evening, which is the case that I'm filming here. So in that case, you really, even if you have a lot of element to a composition, to a vignette, you really have to have something you're putting in sort of, as a focal point. Clearly the focal point is this beautiful artwork right here by this Mexican sculptor, this marble artwork. So having the light sort of served the purpose to highlight it. And this is why it was important to get a light that was skinny, that wasn't taking away from the visualization of this beautiful art piece. I actually typically just have something this simple, but I had fresh flowers today, so I had this part that used to be in the center. I just removed it in order to put fresh flowers instead, but typically I have a simple thing like that. Because you really don't need too high element in this space, but right now that's just what I have. And so it's really nice to have a green with a brown like that. It just creates some very interesting color pop to an otherwise, black and brown composition. So if you have, let's say, an elongated room, that was actually a difficult room to think about. So what you want to do essentially is really create spaces, nooks for, to read when you're by yourself and so forth. If there are people, you can rearrange the seat in a conversational way. But for everyday thing, when you're by yourself, like we like to read a lot. So we're always reading in every corner. So creating nooks with books and the sculpture and the light is something that is a good idea to do. So, and it's nice to just put this is just actually a scarf. It's always okay to sort of dress up a chair by just casually putting some form of cloth in the back. It helps not rubbing on the wall, but it also just serves to sort of create a relaxing space that's not too formal. So, of course, I have candles all over. So I'm burning the Basquiat today, but here I have a Jo Malone, peony, and blush. So you always want scent, beautiful scent and light scent in your space. So I'll probably be burning this at some point. Then you always want to burn them inside something for safety. So again, here I have a brown sort of composition, and that has different height, and I just have a pop of blue in there. What other trick? So books. Books is extremely important to incorporate in every room, in every element. I don't feel like a coffee table should not have books in it. For one thing, what the books also can do is help you bring some colors down. So here I have like black and some texture. So I'm bringing some, I pick some books and magazine that have some whites in it to sort of unify, you know, the sofa and bring it down a bit. And another element that we want to have is the element of continuity, which I started talking about. So as you can see here, you use the plant, the flowers and the colors of the paintings to create this form of continuity from one space to another. More light. Of course, when you have artwork, if you are fortunate enough to have ceiling light or some form of light for some of the painting, not all of them have to be lighted, because you want the colors, you want the light and the shadow interplay, so you don't have to light everything and have everything be bright. Like I usually just don't do that. I just put it in certain places that I think needs to be highlighted. So those two paintings right there that we're looking at, they are by Haitian. So they're on each side. So having the same family, I don't really necessarily believe in symmetry. I chose to have symmetries in the lamp, and one doesn't really have to. But in this case, I just decided that it made sense for some unification of the eyes to have uniform lamps, and the paintings also that anchor the wall are also by the same artist and the same sort of color and brown. So by having the brown here, because there's a lot of things happening, it's sort of, the eyes is still resting pretty simply, not on everything under the sun, but you still have what you call your focal point, and the focal point is clearly basically your coffee table that's in the middle of the room, and everything else is a little bit of a brownish color that just support the space. And you definitely want sofa that's white or cream, and your wall to also be a certain soothing color that's going to really create a space that even when you have art, you want a lot of harmony. And the way you get it is in the background. The choice of the paintings, where you put them versus the interplay of pops of colors. In this case right here, you really just have the curtain that has this nice big bright patch of colors, and I try to just bring it in, you know, some of the brown that goes with the orange, and also just facing the curtain, you also have an art piece that has the orange elements. And of course, I try to get plants flowers that have some orange and things like that. So the idea of layering is, and here I'm not putting too many flowers in this pot. You can even just put 3 flowers in a pot, because you want, in here, I didn't want it to stuff up, because I just wanted it to be almost see-through wherever you're sitting, to create, you know, so that it doesn't break conversation. So that's a space where you don't want very big, you don't have to buy like a whole 2 dozen of flowers. So as you can see, there are elements of brown and orangey that's sort of popping up and create a balance on both sides of the room. Also, guys, I don't know how to explain this here, but the interplay here is the different sizes of the paintings, and it's fine to actually just put painting on the floor. It just makes things look a little bit more casual and less formal. So every so often, I would just sort of not feel compelled to hang a painting. And perhaps it's a pet peeve of mine, but I really believe in painting being at a high level that you can really experience it and live through it. And also the dimensions are very, very important in terms of where your chair or sofa is and the size of the painting you're putting in it. So I wanted to take you to then the study and the idea of how it's created. So a lot of green live plants is incorporated into the study, and so there is a lot of brown and a lot of gray because there's a lot of books, and of course you have this lamp. And again, even don't disregard your floor. It's fine to just put things on the floor like this so that the room looks as relaxed as you can. And we do a lot of meetings here. When we have book clubs meeting, we hang here at book clubs or have meetings for different humanitarian works. So it's a nice room to sort of have meetings. So a study is like very nicely designed for that. And it's also a place to put your collection. Like I rotate my vases, so I just put them under here. So there is a vignette. Of course, it's a lot of books. Now that and you have the light, of course. And so there's 2 points I want to make. One is the importance of having one black element in your space. So here, my black element is this lamp right here. It's so funny because my husband is always like, what's the point of a black lamp? Because it sort of anchors the eyes to have something black in a room. And one thing I wanted to talk about is the importance of having nice coffee tables that also tell stories of places you go to and things like that. So that's a book I'm reading right here by my favorite author, Gary Victor. But clearly we have a lot of books on Haiti, like coffee table. So I can show you a couple of images. You know, scenery from Haiti. Cute little kid here. Lady going to the market. Some of the architecture, the gingerbread architecture. A farmer on its way to work the land early in the morning. Someone working the land. Try to work the light. Oh, school children with their uniforms in school. Kids in school in their probably first communion. So school children. The lady in the countryside, other kids. So like, you cannot have enough of beautiful coffee books, you know, on whatever your interests, your travels are, on your coffee table. And you incorporate art in many forms. This is from an African sculptor. Here, I'm using a regular sort of candle holder. I usually have candles in here, but my kids just took them. So this is the heart, a metal work done by Haitian artisan. And this is the heart representing the love goddess, Erzuli. So I thought it was a very nice to place right here to display that. Right there as a centerpiece. So I think I was talking about dimension and chairs. So that's just an example of how a dimensionality may work. And one of the things I did, what we're seeing is what you call layering. So for the eyes to sort of see, let's say, the flowers from the pillow. So you repeat the elements that's in the center of the room with the flowers, which I usually have here. And I love to have those very cute motifs on pillows that say home. I have another one that say good night. When I go back, I'll show you. So this is another seating area. Bathrooms are obviously very important. You don't want to neglect it when it comes to art, because that's really the space where you can contemplate art the most when you think of it. So I had a video this summer when I went to a Chicago Art Fest. So I purchased this from an African artist. I thought the dimensionality of it, the colors was going to be really nice for this wall right here. So I don't discriminate on rooms. So just like I said, just because it's a bathroom, that does not mean that I don't really believe in putting really high quality artwork there. So this is by a very famous artist, Laurenceau. And this is also another very famous artist, Womo. And it's actually, he's taking the face of one of the, I'm not sure how to call them, but one of the painting by Michelangelo that's on the Sistine Chapel in Rome. So he takes that face and sort of creolized it, put some perhaps Caribbean-ness to that face, and so it's just a very vintagey and beautiful painting. And for some reason, I'm like, in a fun way, thinking, okay, we need these eyes to look at you while you're in the bathroom here. I know it's silly of me, but anyway, I thought that was cute. I rotate things anyway. It doesn't always mean it has to always be here. But right now, that's what I have. So for winter, I actually put out art that's a little bit more somber. Whereas on summer, I would maybe rotate things and put something lighter here. But that's what we have here for winter. So this is a different perspective of a study with the different elements of the books. And of course, when you doing books, you want to put a bookshelf. It doesn't have to be necessarily books. It's an opportunity to put some of your prize, whatever awards here, because those are transparent. I thought they were nice to put in front of the book. This is a Maude collection and, things like that. This is a 150th 50 and a limited edition of our prize one barbecue from Haiti. So it's just things like that that you can actually put on your bookshelf along with your books. Yeah. So here again, we have a sculpture that sort of anchored the room and as you can see on each side, I have element of painting that's continuous in color, so they're by the same artist. And then I bring some of those colors as the centerpiece on the table as well. Of course, tables change. I'm always changing my little vignette on the table, but for some reason, I'm really loving those little balls right here. So I have them all over. And of course, that's an opportunity to have candles. Here I'm burning a oud. It's called oud. I don't think you can see it here. Oud santal. And it goes really well with the other spicy one that I have. So it's always nice to group elements of colors. So this is a side table where I have that. And of course, having a mirror again over a side table is always a nice idea. So I thought the brown, I needed something green. And of course, you can see how the mirror is reflecting on the other part of it. So I didn't want only brown stuff, but I thought it was a good place to also put this artwork by René Jérôme, who is one of our prize artists. He does things like that, work on stuff on various material. This is this is clay. So he's known for putting these eggs on his work. So again, so it's really elements of gray, brown, and then bright blue and green, and scent, candle, and fresh flowers. Oh, there goes the one trick I wanted to show you. The importance of having a black to anchor your eyes. I don't know if you can see that. You can see that black all over. I mean, all the way over there. So it basically allows your eyes to understand the dimension of the space that you are in. So that's what the black does. You always want some form of black anchoring a room in order for your eyes to stop at some dimension and understand the space. So I hope you have enjoyed some of the different things that I told you and give you some ideas on some of the elements of essentially creating an artful living. So the elements are books, of course, because books is art. It's painting, it's sculptures of different material. It's putting stuff on the floor so that everything is not floating up in the air. We also definitely want something floating up in the air too, so that the whole room is just feel cozy. And you want to incorporate plants, especially when you have brown that's kind of how nature makes things happen. You know, you have brown, and you have the tree, and you have the leaves, you know, and then you have the flowers. So all you're really doing is appreciate nature, appreciate literature, appreciate artists of different form and different composition. This is by an American artist, and which I got at an auction, but I can't remember the name. One thing you want to do also, do not feel bad about putting some form of sculpture right in front of your painting. So essentially, it's like layering fragrance. You basically layering the artwork and taking some different dimensionality of one and marrying it with the other. In this case, clearly this Haitian thing, art piece, which is in oil, which is a spiralism. And if you've seen some of my other videos, I have spoken in length about this painting. So clearly you can see that there is a relationship with this other art sculpture right here. So you want to bring things down, layering them, match things, and make things marry well without being matchy-matchy. So we're going up stairs right now to a hallway where I'm going to show you how to decorate a hallway artfully. And it's always nice to have on stairs, you get to put either family pictures or art pieces. And I kind of like how these are of different size, different dimension, and they're by the same artist, Cecilia, and he's what you call a apprentice. So all the work is just made of that. And he's actually made faces of very famous people, and you can clearly recognize them. So it's an amazing talent to be able to just with that create amazing, beautiful faces and images. And I just love the whole modern aesthetic of the one color background. I love this green right here. And I always like to break things a little bit by something gray or black or metal to create different textures. So this is why I have this super tall sculpture here. And so this is another Cecilia work. Again, it's all dots, just very, very beautiful. And then another one. I need to frame them, but so far I'm just enjoying them like this. Even if I frame them, it's going to be very, very understated frames. And I'm probably just going to use pink for this, green for this, and blue for this. Because it's a modern sort of aesthetic, I need a very, very simple frame for it. So this is a way to sort of think about artfully putting art on going upstairs. So putting them in different level like this, just like the stairs, because it's an easier way for the eyes to see. One of the things that's most important in putting artwork is that you're putting artwork with the idea that people are looking at it, that you're looking at it. So your neck shouldn't be going way up there in an uncomfortable way. You know, it really should be at a level that the art is accessible, that you're actually living with the art, as opposed to sort of going out of your way just to see what's going on with the art piece. So you always want to use your hallway to make it a nice area where you put art in, because it's a closed space. If you have a small, relatively small or whatever size hallway, I find it's a very nice space to use for art and juxtaposition of light and arts that sort of are meaningful, that are whimsical, that are nice. It's usually not a space that people see, but it's a very intimate, beautiful space that you can use. You can put your, family art. It doesn't have to be sort of artist arts. You can mix them. So always great for that. Here, this is a piece by Charles Obas, the father of Bitova Obas, who is a famous musician in Haiti. And in one of my videos, I've talked about this artist, Charles Obas, from the 60s, just masterful, and he is a master at water and just, it's a highly politically charged piece, actually, that's sort of trying to capture the spirit of people under a dictatorship. So you have this incredible, very rare sort of masterpiece here that we really prize. And I like it here too because it doesn't get too much sun, so it preserves that old piece in a much better way. Moms are holding their babies. Yeah, so I like to sort of break a hallway with a different color that's as soothing, but that's different, that defines the space. Here I have a beautiful sand dune that goes into a different space that also pretty have artful there, but we go in there a different time. But this is the idea here. I wanted to show how to sort of work a small, sort of a long, sort of skinny type of space. And I love to have family pictures in a space like this too. That works really well. Dimension is always important to think about. So this is a modern sort of art. I'm not really sure what it says, but it goes on me. And it was a gift from the artist. Actually, it's probably like this, but somehow I like to do it that way. I feel like I see a face of a kid with her hair tied when I look at it this way. So this is the pretty cheekbones, and this is the neck. That's what I see when I look at this painting. So I like to put it this way. The artist probably never thought that he did anything like that, but that's what my eyes catches. And of course, it's always nice to have those big, tall vases. This one I got at Pier Import. And of course, with the bamboos there. So I always like to sort of anchor corners with things like that. And I like the ruggedness of this mirror when I saw it and thought it was going to be nice for this right here. Sort of create a space that's relatively casual, but well put together with the wood element. So there you have it. This is an artful way of decorating a hallway. So I'll leave you here, guys. Thanks for watching. If you like the content, please like and subscribe. Tell me also more things that you would like to see. Would you like to just whatever is in your mind, just let me know. If you see an art piece that you are curious about, just make mention of that in the comment, and I'll try to just share whatever information I have about it or about the artist. So again, bye.